grab some mead or whatever you need. I'm Kamal. It's time to get to it. All right, it's time. Let's look at the Paladin, one of the most overpowered classes in Diablo 2 and Diablo 2 Resurrected. Let's see what kind of changes are being made to this class to modify him. So, defensive auras for the Paladin. It looks like resist fire, resist cold, and resist lightning are now displaying the max resist bonuses. That's good. Developer comment says we added more information to tooltips to describe hidden functionality for certain defensive auras. Sounds good to me. This is one of those classes like we just went over with the Necromancer. These classes are incredibly strong. This class, rather, is incredibly strong. I refused to use a Paladin for a very long time because of how overpowered they were. Their power scaling is incredible. Second, I would say only to Sorceress. The Sorceress is incredibly strong as well, which we'll get to after we get done with this Paladin. Offensive auras. Blessed Aim. The tooltip now displays passive attack rating bonus. Holy Fire. Area damage now scales based on the distance of the enemy to the caster. It will now deal a range of 100% damage to 200% damage based on the furthest distances to the closest distance to the caster. That's crazy. So if they're closer to you, they'll take double damage. That's insane. Damage level scaling increased by about 90%. That's huge as well. Resist fire synergy is increased from 18% to 24%. God. Woo. With this, with the new rune words coming out too, like you're going to see Holy Fire Paladins. I promise you that. I may make I think I'm going to do a Holy Fire build will be the first thing I test out on the 2.4. Salvation synergy increased from 6 to 10%. I'm telling you, this Fire Paladin is going to be insane. Area damage now scales, this is for Holy Freeze, now scales based on the distance of the enemy to the caster. It now will deal a range from 100% damage to 200% damage based on the furthest distance to the closest distance to the caster. Same thing with Holy Shock. The damage scales at a distance of the enemy to the caster. It now deals a range from 100% damage to 200% damage based on the furthest distance to the closest distance to the caster. Thorns. Aura no longer returns a percentage of the damage hit. Now, the aura will deal a flat amount of damage when the aura affected targets are attacked, and I believe it'll probably go through more down here in the, what's it called? Developer comments. Area damage from Sanctuary now scales based on the distance of the enemy to the caster. It will now deal a range of 100 to 200% damage on the further distance to the closest distance to the caster. That's going to be great for my Whirlwind Barb right now that's using the Azarath Phase Blade. So the developer comments for the offensive auras. We wanted to add more potential to the AoE, area of effect, damage auras, since they are a capable way for the Paladin to handle groups of monsters, by increasing the damage based on distance to the caster. For each AoE damage aura, each AoE damage aura will have increased effectiveness while still maintaining the same cadence of visual effects on the screen. Also, we saw that Holy Fire should scale better at higher levels, to be more consistent with general fire damage power compared to the other elements. For Thorns, we wanted to improve the gameplay around getting hit to deal damage. So, we're making the skill deal flat damage based on attack attempts rather than returning damage after getting hit. This will allow Thorns to have a more consistent combat performance instead of unpredictable, riskier results. Sounds good to me. Combat skills. Sacrifice. Damage to self now reduces per level from 8% to 8 to 1%. That reduces per level. Oh, so once you have it maxed out, it'll go down to 1 to 8 minus 1. 8% minus 1. Is that 8% minus 1%? Or is that 8 from 8% to 8 to 1%. So like once it's maxed out, it'll be down to 1%. I don't know. We'll have to see exactly how that works. The verbiage on this one is kind of weird. If you understand it better than what I do, please let me know in the comment section down below. Conversion. Maximum conversion chance increased from 50% to 90%. Sounds good. Smite. Tooltip now shows that the skill always hits. That's great. There was a long time that I used Smite that I didn't realize it was so good because it always hits no matter what. That's why you can see level 20 characters, level 24 characters killing Declone. Holy Bolt. Removed synergy, Blessed Hammer. Okay, damage increased by 50%. That's big. Now pierces targets, undead, and allies. Prayer synergy increased from 15% to 20%. Fist of Heavens. Casting delay reduced from 1 second to 0.4 seconds. That's big. Casting delay will no longer share cooldown with other skills that have casting delays. Tooltip updated to now display casting delay. Holy Bolt now pierce targets, undead, and allies. No longer forces you to attack when you're out of mana. That's huge. And improved targeting functionality to auto-acquiring enemies. That's fantastic as well. Developer comments on this states, we wanted to improve the lesser used combat skills to give more viable options. Holy Bolt will now pierce to increase its combat use cases and will have less skill point synergy investment to open up more possibilities to spend skill points elsewhere. Fist of Heavens is also getting the same Holy Bolt pierce changes and will now have less casting delay and improve controls to help make it more effective, make it a more effective level 30 skill to use. Now, Fist of Heavens was always an amazing skill to use, but I will have to admit that these changes to it are going to make it seem and feel even better to use. So I am very excited. All of the changes I've read so far have been very welcomed, great changes. Once again, before we end the video, I was kind of hesitant to accept any changes to my beloved Diablo 2. But after playing a few different mods and seeing that different changes to the game can actually improve the gameplay overall, I'm very, very, very excited to see how these changes affect the gameplay, how they affect build diversity, which is a big thing. Because we have to admit, you can get on a game like Path of Exile, and there are a ton of different builds that are mostly viable at endgame. In this game, you have one or two for each class. So this should really open the door for a lot more build diversity and build viability in the end game. So I'm really excited to see that. We've got one more character class to look over, which is going to be the Sorceress. And then we're going to jump into the further changes. So go ahead, sub it up, stick around, and we'll see you in the next video. I'm out.